Hello, YouTube sphere. Hello, hello, hello. It's Real Estate Tuesday, a little later than usual, but let's get it started. I got to start off with a smile. It's Real Estate Tuesday, 2 days before Christmas. And I had to come on here and get it in. Yes, yes, yes. I've been feeling good. We've been on Christmas break, baby. And I had bought me some new sheets, and I did not feel like, I slept the longest today. I usually, because people know that follow me for real, know that I get up at 4 a.m. And I slept till like 8 o'clock today. Them new sheets was doing something to me. I was just smoozy woozy. You know how you get some new sheets and they feel good to you? Yeah, so that was one of my Christmas gifts, some new sheets, some nice satiny sheets. They felt so good. But anyway, it's Real Estate Tuesday. I just had to say that. It's Real Estate Tuesday, people. And I am here for the homeowners. But if you're not a homeowner yet, this can still help you with your buying decision. So, my name is Toria Howard, and I am the real estate educator. I am an educator by trade, and I educate, yes, I'm a school teacher, but I educate people on how to increase their financial IQ in order for them to invest in themselves by buying a personal property, investment property, so they can build generational wealth. But you cannot build generational wealth without generational knowledge. So I teach you the knowledge so that you can go and capture that. And today we're talking about house hacking. Even if you own your own home already, this is something that you can do with your own home already if you have the space or whatever, or if you're looking to buy another home, right? So this is what you can do. It's not just for homeowners, but this is for future homeowners, and especially if you have a small family or you're by yourself, you're single. This is something that you can do to help bridge you to that dream home. You have to start somewhere, and the dream always starts wherever your foundation is. So that foundation could be a house hack. So let's talk about how to live rent free or build passive income, either or, doing it both, however you want to do it. So, house hacking is one of the smartest ways to become a homeowner or investor all at the same time. And if you are a homeowner, this is something that you can do with your own home. So, I'm so passionate about this because of the fact that me fumbled almost $200,000 bag. I bought a home. Sorry, y'all. I bought a home in 2010 in Memphis for 150,000. It was a bedroom, two bathroom house, 2.5 bathroom house, and it steady went up in value. But I didn't know how to take care of my home. I didn't have an emergency fund. I didn't do any repairs, no maintenance, no nothing. I ended up having to get behind my mortgage and I had to sell it at short sale. So I'm passionate about this because once I sold it for 167,000, my house grew to over $300,000. And if I would have held on to my house, I could have got almost $200,000 back almost. So I'm passionate about this because I want people to learn how to use real estate to their advantage. So house hacking is one of those things. I tell my first time home buyers all the time, you don't have to choose between owning a home or building wealth. You can do both with the right strategy. The whole point is having the right strategy. And once you have the right strategy, the financial strategy, you can build wealth and own a home. And use that home to leverage to buy other homes, investment properties, or your own dream home, however you want to do it, right? So what is house hacking? This is a breakdown as simple as I can get it, right? So house hacking means you buying a property and renting out part of it. So the rental income helps you pay or fully cover your mortgage. And who wants to pay a mortgage? For real. So, a lot of times people do it with a duplex, a quad, which is four, or triplex, or they might rent out their basement, or they might rent out a room. It's different ways. So, like I said, you can do it with a duplex. You live in one, you rent out the other. You can do a single family home where you rent out a room, your basement. You can do a auxiliary unit or ADU. Which is a separate living space out back on top of your garage, however that is. Typically, the ADUs are like in the West Coast because they put an extra like little small house on the property. But you can do it with your basement, garage, apartment, however you want to do it. So this shifts housing from a liability to a cash flowing asset. And the point of it all is that you want to accumulate cash flow with the income that you're already making. So when you accumulate the cash flow, typically as an investor, they say the lowest you should want to make is like $200. That's low. But your cash flow, you should want, when you're buying a home, you want to at least be making $500 a month off this home outside of expenses. So you have to buy right with the right strategy. So what's the math when living free? This is where you have to lean in a little bit to try to figure out the numbers, right? So when the numbers work, tenants pay your mortgage, not you. So you want your tenants to be able to pay off whatever that mortgage is. So if your mortgage is $1,900 a month, right? You want to be able to charge a rental income for one unit or rooms between $1,800 to $2,200 because you want to have a profit, right? So your out of pocket housing cost is 0 to 100. So if you break even, you can use the money that you were supposed to pay your mortgage with to invest in something that's a higher yield, something that's giving you between 6 to 10%, depending on what vehicle that is. If it's the stock market, if it's crypto, if it's, whatever, IRAs, whatever your investment strategy is. The whole point is to take that money to make more money. But like I said, that's on the low end. So you want your mortgage. So for instance, you want your mortgage to be like 1,500, so then you could charge 2,000 and then you can profit 2,000. I mean 500. That's the whole point. So the whole point is to get between $200 and $500 cash flow every single month, if not more. But that's just for a single unit. So what if you buy 3 unit? You live in one and then you rent out the other two. That's more of a cash flow. What if you buy 4? What if you buy 4 with a basement and make it? Well, see, if you buy 4 with the basement and you charge rent, it's another tax bracket. That's another thing because now it has become a commercial property. So when it becomes a commercial property, it's a whole different thing. But then it goes into wanting to know your percentage of profit. So usually, typically, you want to get between 10 to 12%. So profit. But that's another story for a different day. But that's how the story goes. That's how the math goes. So you want to make sure that your mortgage is at a point where you can afford it if something happens where you can't find tenants or the tenants leave or whatever. But you want to make sure that you're making a substantial amount of cash flow, however, whatever your income goal is. Like I said, between 200 and 500, 500 being optimum. If you could get more than that, listen, that's even better. What if you bought a house that needed some fixing and you bought it for low and you fixed it up and your mortgage is only 1,100, but you can still charge rent of 1,800? It's things to think about. So those are the type of things you could do here in Michigan, especially in Detroit and the surrounding areas, because we have a lot of properties that need renovation. And if you could couple that renovation with your mortgage, which you can, which is a FHA 2 or 3K loan, but you will have to have some money to put down. But they'll help you with renovation and it will help you, with the mortgage, but your mortgage is going to be low because the value is there. So when you once you finish fixing up, your value is up. Then if you have a 2 bedroom, 1 bath, depending on where you are, you could charge between 950 and 1,200, depending on how nice it is. So if your mortgage is only $1,100, right? And you can charge 1,500, you have $400 worth of profit. Because if you fix it up, most likely you don't have a lot of expenses up front, but you want to have a budget where you're taking money out to save for maintenance. Okay, you still want to do that. So why house hacking is a cheat code for first-time home buyers or for homeowners. House hacking lowers your mortgage, your biggest monthly expense while building equity. You want to lower that big expense, which is your mortgage. And whatever you was paying for whatever you was going to pay out of pocket for your mortgage, you could do something else with. So the benefits are it's easier to qualify for a mortgage, it's less financial stress, it's faster wealth building, and you're learning how to be a landlord while you live there, right? You learn it as you're growing your money. So why I know people like, well, why is it easier to qualify? Because you're telling the mortgage company that they are going to be guaranteed their money every month because you're going to have a tenant in there anyway paying the mortgage. Plus, if they don't pay it, you're able to pay it. So that is the reason why you can qualify easier, because if you're making income off the property, the banks love that. They love the income. They want the money to come in and they don't care. I mean, they care, but as long as they have something on paper stating that this is what your plan is and that's what you're going to do, and you're going to have a buffer, because the mortgage company want to know if you can't pay, who's going to pay. You have a tenant in there, they're going to pay regardless. If say for instance you don't have something happens, God forbid, you don't have the mortgage that month, you have a tenant that can pay it. So that's something. So I've seen buyers go from renters to owners to investors in under 2 years using this strategy. So you need to make sure that you're understanding how house hacking works. Now, if it's something that you don't want to do, I mean, by all means, it's something that you don't have to have somebody living there, while you're living there. If you want to buy a single family home, build up the equity, stay there for a couple years, and then use that house as a rental property and then move on to something else. That's still, I mean, it's a burst strategy, is another strategy. It's still a house hacking strategy where you're leveraging uh, one property to buy another one. That's still a house hack. So you can do that way. So FHA plus low down payment equals game changer. So FHA rules have changed. There's not a minimum credit score anymore for you to purchase a home. But the only thing that separates that is that your down payment assistance, you have to have a minimal score for down payment assistance. So there's no minimum credit score for FHA loans anymore. Government backed loans, as Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, USDA had they didn't really have one anyway, but because it all depends on the where it's located in the population. So that was one of the easier, but there's no limit. There's no credit score minimum. So you can get into a home without paying 20, 30, 30% down or whatever the case may be. So there you can still do it at 3.5%, 1%. You can still have low interest, low down payment amounts. But like I said, if you want to use down payment assistance, you have to have a minimum, whatever that down payment assistance is. Typically, it's like 600 to 620 minimum for down payment assistance. So if you want a house hack and you can use down payment assistance, that's even better. So, but if you don't have to have a minimum credit score to purchase a home anymore, which is a great thing. So you can buy a house with 3.5% down, right? Owner occupied, the multi-unit is allowed. Up to 4 units. You can buy up to 4 units under FHA. So you can that's still considered a single family property. So you can buy 4 units, rent out 3, live in 1, and have all of them pay on the mortgage. So, and like I said, if you have the minimum credit score that they need, down payment assistance is a stack. So if you have the minimum of 600 to 620, some of them require 650. So if you have that 600 to 650 range, you can still use down payment assistance, still buy a 4 unit property, still house hack, get your mortgage paid, no down payment. You know, it's a win-win. How are you not winning in real estate that way? How are you not winning in real estate where you don't have to pay anything down and you don't have to pay the mortgage? That's a win. So using that as a stack is definitely a hack. So it's not about, you know, not knowing. It's about getting the education. Access is not an issue. The education is. Getting the education is what is holding people back. They don't know that you can do these things, right? So what you should avoid. So you want to have some intentionality. So house hacking only works when the numbers are intentional. You have to know your numbers. So some of the mistakes people make is not budgeting for repairs, charging below market rent, ignoring tenant screenings. That's one of the big things. You have to screen these tenants, especially if you're going to live there. One of the things one of the mentors that I follow says is go and see where they live. Just pop up and see, hey, I just wanted to stop by and say hello. See where they live. If they where they're living beforehand is it's crazy looking on the inside, do you notice the same thing they're gonna do to your property? If they have, they moving a whole lot, multiple times a year, or they have a lot of evictions, or they want, um, they're looking for a private landlord. I'm sorry, private landlord people, but you got to get your credit together. You got to do it in order for you to be credible. So there's factors in which you can, and you own that property, especially if you're living there. You make your own rules. Now, of course, you cannot discriminate, on certain factors, but you can have, if you're living there, you don't follow the same landlord rules as everybody else, because you can have whoever you want to live in a property where you're staying. It's your rules, it's your lease. You can make up your own lease. You can go to Rocket Lawyer, all these other different, Chat GPT will help you build a lease, and you can have whatever it is that you want to build in there. You can have a escalation clause where, if they, you know, whatever you want to put as far as escalation, if they move out quickly, they got to pay whatever. You could put a non-eviction clause in there. I mean, no, not a non-eviction for them, but for you, like they're not going to court if it's time to get evicted. They get out immediately if they don't pay rent. So when you live in there, you don't have to follow a lot of the strict landlord rules, because this is your home too. So you make your own rules. So you have to screen these people, and in which you want the people to live there. If you don't want people with a whole lot of children, guess what? You don't have to. You're living there. If you don't want pets, you don't have to. So when you're living there, there are certain things that you can screen people to make sure that you're comfortable. And like I said, going and getting references from other people, places where they live, landlords where they live, going to pull up to where they live. If they got a lot of inconsistency with if you're not comfortable with them having a lot of inconsistency with their jobs and they different things. So it's a lot of things that you can do to screen your tenants, and things that you can exclude and put into your lease, because you don't have to follow the same landlord rules because you are living in one of the units. And a lot of people don't realize that, right? You have to make sure that you're understanding that you are living there too, and you have to be comfortable. And then another mistake people make is not understanding the reserves. You have to have reserves. So the money that you're saving on your mortgage can be in it, a part of your reserves, plus your profit can be, some of your profits. So you can combine what you're saving on your mortgage plus what profit from your tenants to be in your reserves, because you need reserves for any breakdowns. And of course, you're going to have homeowners insurance, home warranty, hopefully, but you still need to have a reserve in a high yield and savings account. Let's not forget that part. Okay. You got to have it in a high yield and savings account. So this is exactly why I teach homeowners how to be house rich and money smart, because you got to do the right things in order for you to be house rich and not house poor. So this is a long-term wealth play. House hacking is step one, but not the finish line. So you don't have to stay there for long extended periods of time. Okay. You stay there for 1 or 2 years, move out, rent all the units, buy the next property. And guess what? If you want to do the same thing, you buy another 4 unit and live in that one if you want to do that. Or you don't have to. You can use that home as leverage to buy your dream home. Because guess what? You have the equity that you can use. And then your tenants are paying the mortgage. So one smart property can fund your next move, your next investment, or your freedom. So you can house hack your way to your mansion if you want to. Say for like it's like a monopoly. How many houses do you have to have in order to get a hotel? Four. So you buy that first 4 unit. Or if you don't want to, if a 4 unit is too much, if you buy that duplex, that's two houses basically. That's 2 units. And guess what? You go buy another duplex. That's four. Then guess what? You take all of those. You got tenants. You got 4 units with two or four tenants. And guess what? They're paying the mortgage. And guess what? You have two properties you can leverage to buy that hotel. Think about it like that. Think about real estate as the game of Monopoly. We got to remember that it's the same rules apply. You can use that to leverage your, people want to go from the apartment to the mansion. And, hey, if you have a significant amount of income change, you win the lottery, get an inheritance, by all means, do what you want to do. I don't still think that's a smart move because the bigger the house, the bigger the expenses as far as keeping up the maintenance. You have to learn crawl before you walk. Okay. So buying, like I said, if you can buy a 4 unit, buy the 4 unit, live in one, rent out three. But if you only can buy a single family home, rent out your basement. But if you can buy a duplex, you rent out the other side. If you can buy a threeplex, because some areas have 3 units, you have 2 units that's paying, tenants is paying the rent. My personal thing is if it's big enough and you have the income and it's substantial, buy the four, live in the 1 to 2 years. You got your 4 units. Once you fill it up, you got your 4 units for your hotel. Whatever that looks like for you, or buy another 4 unit, do the same thing, and then guess what? You're owning the block almost, right? Like in Monopoly, you buy 3, 4 units. That's usually a block in Monopoly, or is it? Well, six. It's because it's usually six. You own the block if you own the railroad, whatever. But that's it for today. I just wanted to come in and talk about house hacking. Please like, subscribe, share, do all of the things. Follow me. I will be doing way more in 2026. My last live will be next week for 2025. I am going to do one next week. So since I'm off, it's easier. So house hack your way to wealth. Buy that 2 unit, buy that 3 unit, buy that 4 unit, live in one. It's like Monopoly. Y'all play Monopoly in real life. Get to where you want to go by getting the generational knowledge to build a generational wealth, learning how to stack. It's all about compounding. You could compound real estate as well. And that's what a lot of people do. So like, follow, share, subscribe, do all the things. Go back and watch this. Take some notes. Let me know in the comments how you feel about, if you're watching the replay, how you feel about this information. And if you have any questions, please send me a DM. I will love to answer any of your questions. So I have all that you need too. Journey to Your Castle is for first-time homebuyers. I'm showing you how to go from concept to mindset because your mindset has to change, to goal setting all the way to the closing table. And then for homeowners, I have House Rich and Money Smart, how to turn your home into a wealth building powerhouse. I'm showing you turn your liability into an asset, just like I just did with house hacking. If you already a homeowner, you can do the same thing, the same strategy. Just if you had to rent out a room or your basement or whatever. But I bid you adieu. Please go back and watch it, share all of the things. Have an amazing day, y'all. See you later, YouTube sphere.